Hello everyone. How's everybody doing today? Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, July the, what is the day today? The date today, July the 14th, 15th? Let me see. Let's make sure. Yes, July the 15th. I hope everybody's doing okay today, and I want to say thank you for joining me for today's coffee and cards. If you're here with me this morning, please leave me a comment. Let me know that you're here. If you have any trouble hearing the sound or anything like that, please just let me know. My name is Jana Edwards with Stampin' Inc. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator in Corpus Christi, Texas, and I go live twice a week to bring you projects using Stampin' Up products and to help spark your creativity and to maybe give you some new ideas on how to use your products. Today we are going to be using, this week our feature is the Sunrise Sailing Bundle. It is a stamp set and dies and a hybrid embossing folder. And if you don't know what a hybrid embossing folder is, I'm going to teach you that today. I'll show you that today. I think we did the Happy Hibiscus a few weeks ago. I think it was about 3 weeks ago. And it is also a hybrid embossing, a hybrid bundle. It's an embossing folder, dies, everything. I don't really have a whole lot of announcements this morning. Not really. Let me move this. I'm going to move this down just a hair. There we go. Let's see. Paper Pumpkin. We have a new Paper Pumpkin subscription period, I believe. Let me see if I can find my notes, which I probably won't be able to. Because I'm a little disorganized right now. Okay, I don't know where they're at, what I did with them, but new Paper Pumpkin subscription. I think this one is all about, I think it's called Country Farmhouse is the new subscription. And with this month's subscription, you receive an extra stamp set. So you'll get I think there's an image stamp set and a stamp set that has sentiments. Paper Pumpkin is available in the UK and Germany. You just need to go through a Stampin' Up demonstrator there in your area in order to subscribe to that. You can go to stampinup.com and look for Paper Pumpkin, and you'll be able to find out all the information. If you're interested in subscribing here in the US, I have put a link in the description of the video for that so that you can go get information on that. And otherwise, I did want to say thank you to everyone who purchased the craft along, the Christmas in July craft along. Those will be shipping out this week. And if you placed an order last week, I am shipping out your kits and all your other goodies for your 100 subscribers. I'm running a special right now, a thank you special. If you place a $65 order or more in my online store, I'm going to send you a surprise 6x6 designer series sampler pack, 3 handmade cards, a card kit, and a free embellishment for saying, just as my way of saying thank you, 1, for your purchase, and 2, thank you so much for helping me reach 100 subscribers on YouTube. I think I'm currently at 150-ish, I think, and I would really like to get up to 200. So if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so. Like, subscribe, share my videos. It all helps push the videos into everyone's feed so that you get more, what's the word I'm looking for? It just helps, it helps me, it helps my channel, and I really appreciate your help with that. Thank you so much. Okay, today's cards, this bundle was really hard for me because we don't do a lot of sailing. I mean, we live here and the ocean is, right down the street from us, but we have an event each year, and everybody gets the sailboats together and they go out and they sail out in our bay or whatever it's called. I don't even know what the body of water is called, and I've lived here my whole life. But they get all the boats together, and it's really cool to go down there and you just see all the sailboats, and it kind of reminded me of that. And so I chose it, but it is kind of a little out of my wheelhouse because we don't sail, we we do a lot of things at the lake. And but I thought the set was super cute. So the projects that I've done today have totally been inspired by other people, and I'll let you know who they were as we're creating them. But yeah, so without further ado, I'm going to turn my camera down and we'll get started, okay? Hello, Steph. Thanks for joining me today. Okay, so you can see me here. I'm going to put my face in the corner until I have to get out my Stampin' Cut and Emboss, and then I'll remove it so you guys can see my whole desktop. Like I said, we are working with the Sunrise Sailing Bundle, and you can see I have all my stamp sets mounted already, all my stamps from the stamp set mounted, but it's a lot, right? So far, and that's not even all of them. So we have these dies. These cut like a wave pattern. These cut out solid images. You have your, and then you have some little birds that it cuts out. It's a really cute stamp set. You have sentiments that say congratulations, you deserve the best, you're destined for great things. One that says ahoy, which is one of my favorites, happy retirement and best wishes. And it's a two-step stamping. So you have your outline image, and then you have your filler image for your sails and your filler image for the the bottom of the boat. A couple of images that do water lines, which are pretty cool. I like those. Excuse me just one second. Okay, sorry, I had a tickle in my throat. I'm gonna grab a drink real quick. I hope you have your coffee and you're ready to make some really cute cards today. All right, our first project is this one right here. I don't know if you know Julie Davidson. She's another Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, but her and her mom do the cutest thing on Sundays where they do, I think it's Julie, and I forget her mom's name, but they get a product, and Julie will create something with it, and then her mom does a separate video where she creates something. But anyway, this was Julie's card. It's a little similar to hers, not 100%, but the basic design is the same. But I just love how she did this torn image at the bottom, and I thought I really need to recreate that. And she took our Country Woods Designer Series paper and used it as a background, and I really, really like that. So I thought I have to recreate this. But it uses Misty Moonlight for the card base, and then you have a piece of basic white, and then a piece of the Country Woods paper, and then we do some shading with the embossing folder, and then we emboss and cut out this sailboat. All right, I'm going to go ahead and grab our kit. If you place a $50 order in my online store, I offer this week's projects as a kit to go. So in your kit, you'll get everything that you need to recreate the projects for this week, except for stamped images. So if you want your projects to look exactly like mine, you need to have the bundle. Stampin' Up! Does not allow us to send pre-stamped images. So I have a card base here that is 5.5 by 8.5. That doesn't look right. That looks like 11, isn't it? And my ruler is, hold on, I'll measure it for you. It is 4.25 by 11, scored at 5.5. I'm gonna grab my ruler real quick. I have 4 of them, and they all always end up over at my desk. And then I'm gonna grab my little kit right here that has everything in it. Okay, so we started off with our card base, and then we have a layer of white cardstock that is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And if you want the measurements for this, this will be posted on my blog later this afternoon. As soon as I get off here, I'll finish this up, and then I'll finish up the blog post, and it'll go live before lunch today. So then I have a piece of the Country Woods paper. The Designer Series paper is It's this paper, and it's all double-sided. It's Country Woods. I think this was in last year's annual catalog, but it's all front and back, so you get some really cool patterns. But this is what the designer series paper that I used. Okay, so I have 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, 4 by 5 1/4, and we're layering that onto the top of our card base here. Okay, but we're gonna go ahead and do some stamping and shading first. I need to grab my blending brushes. Okay. And my Misty Moonlight ink. And I'm gonna go ahead and take my face off of here so that you can see my full desktop. Grab a piece of messy grid paper that's been shaded over and over again. I have a piece of cardstock that is 3 1/4 by 5 that we're going to create this little panel right here, this embossed panel. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to run it through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss. I want to grab this 3D embossing folder and I'm going to place it. I want some of the clouds to show, so I'm going to try to get it right in the center here. My voice is going out for some reason. Sorry about that. So I'm just going to put it just like this in here. Then I'm going to grab my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Hi Claudia, it's good to see you again. Thanks for joining me. So I'm going to run it through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss. This is a 3D embossing folder too, so we only need plates 1 and plate 4. When you put your embossing folders through, you always want to make sure that the folded crease is going inward and put that in first, because if you don't, you run the risk of the pressure could crack your embossing folder. Okay, so now we have this pretty embossed piece with this embossing folder. Can you see that? How embossed that is? I love it. Now I'm going to grab my Misty Moonlight and I'm just going to shade the water here with some ink and a blending brush. I love the color variations that it gives when it gets into all those little creases of the embossed image. Now I'm going to grab my Balmy Blue ink pad and we're going to shade the upper portion, the clouds and the sky behind the boat. It doesn't take a lot of pressure. I'm just going in circles. And it doesn't matter if you go over the embossed boat, because we're going to cover that up when we stamp and emboss our other piece. We're going to cut that out with the embossing folder. Okay, I like that. So I'm going to set that off to the side and just kind of let it dry a little bit. Then I'm going to grab a smaller piece of cardstock and we are going to stamp and cut out our boat. And I'm going to use Secret C to stamp the outside of our boat. And I'm going to use my piercing mat to give myself a little bit of cushion so I can get a better image, a better stamped image. Photopolymer stamp sets, they don't have any cushion behind them like the rubber stamp sets, like the rubber stamps do. You know, the rubber stamps have that layer of gray cushion usually. And the photopolymer stamps don't. And so I like to have something to press down into, so that way I know my images are going to be crisp and clear. All right, now I'm going to grab the filler image for our sails, and I'm going to grab my Misty Moonlight ink pad again. I'm going to ink this up. Make sure that's the right color. And position this like so, and stamp our sails. And I don't like how that came out, so I'm going to try it again on the other side. I'm going to try a little trick here. Give me just a minute. Sometimes I find that with the photopolymer stamp sets, it's like they aren't, like the surface is still kind of rough. It's not real smooth. So I like to take, let me clean this ink off really quick. It's right here. I like to take my Versamark ink pad and just ink up the surface of the stamp. And then ink up the stamp. And sometimes I feel like I'm going to stamp off. I just feel like it gives a better, I don't know, like the ink settles into the stamp better, but you see how clear that is? Okay. So now I want my crumb cake, and we're going to do the hull or the bottom of the boat. And we're just stamping that. It's like so. Okay. Now I want to take my embossing folder, and I'm going to grab the outline image of the sailboat, the die from the stamp set. I want here it is. And I'm going to grab some Post-it note tape. So there's like a little channel that your die will fit into. You'll feel it, like it'll just settle in there. You want to set it right in that channel, and then take your cardstock and put over it. And what we'll do is we will line it up just like this. I'm going to get myself prepared first. I'm going to grab 2 pieces of Post-it note tape. I'm going to set those to the side. Then we're going to line up our sailboat like so. Get that where you want it to be. And I'm going to take my Post-it note tape, and I'm just going to stick this down just like that. I'm going to go like this and grab my top plate, and then we'll just run this through our embossing folder. And then you have this pretty embossed sailboat. So you see how it's embossed here on the top with this panel? The sailboat, when you put it in there, it embosses the sails and the boat and everything. And we'll just layer that right on top. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and we're going to just assemble our card. I'm going to use some snail and or some Stampin' Seal. I always call it snail. They don't call it snail anymore. Layer that white cardstock panel. Gonna layer our designer series paper. I want this on this side, I think. Like so. Then I'm gonna take, and I'm just gonna tear a little bitty piece off at the bottom. Because I like how this white piece shows right there at the bottom. I'm going to layer it off to the side because we've got to fit our sentiment in here. That's something else I need to stamp is our sentiment. I took a banner from the Stylish Shapes dies and punched it out. I'm going to grab this again. I have a little, sometimes when we run things through our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, I don't know if it's because our plates get dirty or what, but it'll get on your paper. So I just take a adhesive eraser and just get as much of it as I can off of there. All right, I'm gonna grab Secret C and our Ahoy sentiment. And I'm going to stamp this as far over to the right as I can. Just like so. Then I'm going to take my paper snips and just trim it like so. And I'm going to add it to the card front using a few Stampin' Dimensionals. And I have some that are already, I'm just using the edges of this one pack that I have just to use it all up. Take those backings off. And I'm going to layer it right here. I'm layering it just a little bit over the sail here so that when we put our other sailboat on top of it, it's going to cover that raw edge of the sentiment. Like so. Now we're going to grab some dimensionals and put on the back of our sailboat here. And I'm going to use, the hull is real skinny, so I'm going to cut this edge here and just use these pieces. The little edge pieces, it's just wide enough to fit the hull. So we'll take our backings off. Is everybody doing okay today? How is the weather in Germany, Claudia? It is, we're getting some more flooding down here. Another one of our rivers has flooded. they had to evacuate people from the parks that they were staying in yesterday. Okay, now I'm going to grab this little water stamp. It's like waves, and my Misty Moonlight ink pad. And we're gonna just stamp a little, oh no, not Misty Moonlight, sorry. I'm gonna use Balmy Blue. Wrong color blue. I'm gonna use my Balmy Blue. This is more of a watery colored blue. I'm gonna stamp right here. And I'm going to use my blending brush. This piece is for the inside. I'm going to use my blending brush and just kind of use the ink that's already on it to add a little bit of shading. And there's a little bird stamp in the set that I love it. Here's my, I'm going to use some basic gray, and I'm just going to stamp the little birds right here. 3 little birdies. And then you can write your sentiment right here, or your little note, whatever. I'm going to grab this, and we're going to put some adhesive on the back. Glue this to the inside. And there's our first project. Isn't that cute? Oh, I'm going to add some little dots. And I looked this morning, and these tinsel gems are not available anymore. And it's the only ones that I have that have the Misty Moonlight in them. But there are other there are other embellishments that you can use. I just have these, so I'm going to use them. There are other embellishments in stock right now that have Misty Moonlight in them. If you just go onto the Stampin' Up website and you search Misty Moonlight, it's going to pull up everything that has this color in it. So there we go. There's our first card. Okay. I'm going to put this out of the way. And we'll get ready for our second card. I'm going to grab something real quick. I have something else over on my desk I need to grab. Give me just a second. Okay, my little dog wanted to come in, so had to let her in real quick. So our next card is this one. I love it. This uses my favorite colors. This is my favorite color. Petunia Pop, by far my favorite color right now. So this is Shy Shamrock, Petunia Pop, and Darling Duckling. It's just a cute little card, and I forget where I saw this one. Like I said, this bundle was out of my wheelhouse, but I really liked it. I thought it was really cute to play with. So I went on, like most of us do, to Pinterest and Instagram and looked for ideas. So we're starting with a 5.5 by 8.5 card base, scored at 4 1/4. Then we have a piece of 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 Secret Sea cardstock, which is going to go right here. Then we're going to stamp our images on a piece of 4 by 5 1/4, and we're going to layer it just like that, and then we'll stamp and cut out our third boat and layer it in the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. We'll do some stamping. This is my inside piece, and we're going to do the same thing to the inside piece that we did on the other card. Okay, I'm going to use my Balmy Blue. Thank you so much, Claudia. I'm glad you like the card. So I'm going to use my Balmy Blue. And I'm going to stamp this right about here. Then I'm going to grab my blending brush and just add some color in the water here. Very, very subtle. We'll add our little birds at the top with our basic gray. Then I'm going to set this to the side and we'll get started. We have a piece of, this one is, another thing about grid paper too is it helps you measure your cardstock. This is a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of basic white cardstock. And I'm going to do the same on the bottom with the Balmy Blue. Like so, just right in the center. Grab my blending brush, add a little ink, and then add our shading. Okay, then we're going to grab Secret Sea and we're going to stamp 2 sailboats just flat onto the card front. Right here. And then on this side. This is okay to me because the water is going up, which is fine with me because we're going to cover that up with our sailboat. All right, so now I'm going to grab I need my chamois so I can clean my stamps and I don't see it. What did I do with it? I literally just had it. Do you ever do that? You set something down right in front of your face and then you can't find it? Oh, it's right here. There we go. All right, so I'm going to clean our stamp, our filler stamp real quick. And I'm going to grab my Shy Shamrock ink pad. I'm going to go ahead and do the Versamark again, just to be safe. I'm going to ink that up in Shy Shamrock and stamp it on our little sailboat. Now I'm grabbing the crumb cake and I'm going to do the hole on both of these. We're going to stamp our hole on our boats like so. So I'm going to clean this again And then I'm going to grab my Darling Duckling ink. And we'll stamp it on our sails, like so. So cute. I think this is my favorite card this week. All right, I'm going to set this aside. Now I'm going to grab just a small scrap piece of paper. It's 4 by 2.5. And we're going to stamp our sailboat again. Secret C for the outline. And Petunia Pop for the sail colors. I'm going to grab my hull. Ink it up. And Petunia Pop, my favorite color. So pretty. All right, I'm also have a stamp here that says best wishes for our sentiment, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to grab my other panel, and we're going to stamp best wishes right along the side of this. You could do it either side. You could do it this way, or you could do it this. I just like it on the left hand side. We're going to do that in Secret C. Like so. Now I want my little birdies again, my little seagulls. Whoops. And I'm going to do one here and one here for right now. When I put the other sailboat in the middle, I can gauge where I need to put my other seagulls. So we're going to go ahead and cut out this Petunia Pop sailboat again. And I'm going to do this, I'll just do it over to the side. We'll set it up the same way we did before. I heard somebody ask the other day, what do you do with your negative space for your sailboat? You could always, if you're creating a card and you want to cut your sailboat out and you want to use the embossed part, you could always put this piece down on your cardstock and then cut your sailboat out, like stamp your sailboat and cut your sailboat out, then put this piece down on your cardstock and just layer your sailboat right over the negative image, and nobody would ever be able to tell. It would save paper that way too. All right, so I've got my boat in my channel, my little die in my channel. Then I'm going to turn this over. Layer that in my spot. I'm going to get it lined up where I want it. Tape it into place. Give it one last look to make sure it's where I want it. Oh, and it moved on me. There we go. Okay. Let me have our cute little sailboat. I love it. I think it's adorable. Okay, now I'm going to grab some Stampin' Dimensionals and put on the back of our sailboat. And again, I'm going to use, I swear I'm just losing all my tools today. I'm going to use just a little layer of my edges here for our hole because they're skinny enough. I'm going to put our sailboat right about here. I'm going to grab my seagulls and stamp them again. I'm going to stamp 2 more little seagulls. I just wanted to make sure that I had my spacing right before I did that a while ago. Like so. Okay, now we'll go ahead and we'll build the rest of our card. We have our Secret Sea piece. We're going to layer that right on our card front. Then we're going to take, I'm going to use, because it's got that embossed piece, I can't use the seal on the back. Plus, if I need to move it around, the liquid glue will give me a little bit of time to wiggle this panel around till I get it right where I want it. Okay. My dog is down here snoring if y'all can hear her. And then we're going to put this on the inside. Just like so. I'm going to add a few little dots. I went with, what did I go with? I went with, these are fresh freesia dots, but I think they're still in the same color family-ish of the petunia pop, so I like it. I'm going to use these. Okay. It's wanting to give me trouble today. Well, do not want to cooperate today. There we go. And there's our second card today. These were pretty easy today, pretty simple. I will have the blog post for the first card up this morning. Well, probably around lunchtime. So if you want the measurements for this card, they'll be on the blog today. This one, the second card, will post tomorrow. Then we'll have the third card will post Wednesday, and then Thursday we'll make the additional 2 cards. This is one of the cards we're going to create on Thursday at 3 o'clock. So if you're interested, come back and we can create this card together. And then our fourth project will be a fun fold. I'm still working on it. So thank you so much for being here today. Like I said, if you're interested in the other 2 cards for this week, come back Thursday and we will create 2 more cards using this bundle. And if you're interested in the card kit, you just place a $50 order in my online store before Sunday this week, and I'll send you the card kit for all 4 projects this week. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you again on Thursday. Happy stamping! Have a good day.